Only 1% wake up like this morning. Secret to total control. Let me be real with you for a moment. Right now, somewhere in your life, you feel it. That quiet frustration, that sense that your days are slipping through your fingers before you even get a grip on them. You open your eyes each morning, and within seconds, your hand reaches for that phone. Notifications flood in. The news screams. Social media pulls you into everyone else's story except your own. And just like that, before your feet even hit the floor, you've already surrendered the most powerful hour of your entire day. Here's what breaks my heart. You've spent decades building wisdom, experience, and resilience. You've earned the right to live with absolute intention. Yet every morning the world steals your clarity before you even have a chance to claim it. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, you're handing over the keys to your kingdom while you're still half asleep. But there's another way. Only 1% of people wake up like this, with a morning secret that gives them total control. No frantic scrolling, no reacting to someone else's agenda, just stillness, purpose, and an unshakable inner command. These rare individuals don't stumble into their day hoping things work out. They step into it like generals entering the battlefield, prepared, centered, and fully alive. Marcus Aurelius understood this truth centuries ago when he reminded himself that simply waking up is a precious privilege to breathe, to think, to choose to love. So why don't more people live this way? Because nobody taught them that the morning isn't just a routine. It's your sacred ground. It's where you decide whether you'll chase the day or lead it. That changes today. In this video, you'll discover 7 ancient Stoic morning principles that transform not just how you start your day, but how you carry yourself through every challenge, conversation, and decision. These aren't shallow hacks or trendy tips. These are deep, battle-tested truths designed to make your actions intentional and your life extraordinary. Each secret builds on the last, so stay with me until the very end, because the final one ties everything together in a way that will genuinely shift how you see yourself. If this message resonates, drop in the comments, "I control my morning, I control my life." And if you're ready to commit to this transformation, subscribe and turn on notifications, because what you're about to hear could redefine the rest of your years. Let's go. Number 1, wake up with discipline, not motivation. There is a lie most people have believed their entire lives, and it sounds something like this: I'll start when I feel ready. You tell yourself you'll wake up early once the motivation kicks in. You promise you'll begin that morning ritual when the inspiration finally arrives. But let me ask you something. After 4 decades of living, how many times has motivation shown up on schedule? How many mornings has it knocked on your door at 5 a.m. and said, "Come on, let's do this together"? Almost never. Because motivation is not a reliable companion. It is a guest that visits when it pleases and vanishes when you need it most. The ancient Stoic philosopher, Epictetus, a man who was born into slavery and yet became one of the most disciplined minds in history, taught a principle that still echoes through the centuries. He said, "No great thing is created suddenly." That truth applies to every single morning of your life. Greatness is not built in a burst of excitement. It is built in the quiet, unglamorous act of getting out of bed when every fiber of your being begs you to stay under the covers. The 1% understand this deeply. They do not wait to feel disciplined. They practice discipline until the feeling follows. And here is what makes this so profound. The very first choice you make each morning is a declaration of identity. When that alarm rings and you reach over to silence it to steal 5 more minutes of comfort, you are casting a vote. You are telling yourself, comfort matters more than my word. But when you plant your feet on the floor without hesitation, without negotiation, you cast a completely different vote. You declare, "I am someone who follows through." That single act, repeated day after day, reshapes who you are at the deepest level. It is not about perfection. It is about consistency. You are not merely waking up. You are sculpting your character with every sunrise. Think about it this way. You have spent years building a career, raising a family, navigating hardships that would break most people. You already possess extraordinary resilience. Now imagine channeling that same strength into the first 5 minutes of every day. Imagine what happens when your body learns that your mind is in charge, not your emotions, not your fatigue, not the seductive whisper of just a few more minutes. Over time, something remarkable unfolds. You begin to trust yourself in a way that transforms everything. Your confidence deepens, your decisions sharpen, your energy aligns with your purpose rather than scattering in every direction. So here is your starting point. Choose a wake-up time and treat it as unbreakable. Not flexible, not negotiable, unbreakable. The moment your eyes open, stand. Do not linger. Do not check your phone. Do not bargain with the clock. Rise and, as you do, speak a single phrase out loud with conviction. Something like, "This day answers to me." Feel those words in your chest. Let them echo through your bones. Because if you can conquer the gravitational pull of your own bed before the sun has fully risen, there is no obstacle in the coming hours that can intimidate you. You will walk into the world already victorious, already proven, already operating from a place of inner authority that most people will never experience. Your mornings do not need to be elaborate or Instagram-worthy. They simply need to be yours, built on a foundation of unwavering consistency. You do not rise because the mood strikes you. You rise because you gave yourself a promise and you are the kind of person who keeps it. Number 2, claim your power in the quiet before the noise. Picture this, it is early morning. The world outside is still asleep. And in that fragile, precious window between opening your eyes and stepping into the demands of the day, a battle is already taking place. It is a battle for your attention, your emotional state, your entire mental direction. And most people lose it before they even realize it has begun. They roll over, grab the glowing screen on the nightstand, and within seconds, their mind belongs to someone else. Headlines fill them with anxiety. Social media floods them with comparison. Text messages pull them into problems that are not even theirs. By the time their feet touch the carpet, their inner world is already drowning in outer noise. But you do not have to live that way. Not anymore. Not at this stage of your life, when you have earned the wisdom to know that peace is not a luxury. It is a weapon. Seneca, one of the most brilliant Stoic minds who ever lived, wrote to his friend Lucilius, "The mind must be given relaxation. It will arise improved and sharper after a rest." He understood something that the modern world has completely forgotten. Stillness is not wasted time. It is the fertile ground where your sharpest thinking, your deepest intuition, and your most grounded decisions take root. Your brain in those first waking moments is remarkably open, almost like soft clay waiting to be shaped. Whatever you press into it first will leave the deepest imprint. Feed it chaos, and you will carry tension in your shoulders, scattered thoughts in your meetings, and reactive energy in your relationships for the rest of the day. But feed it silence, even just 10 minutes of undisturbed calm, and something extraordinary begins to shift. Your nervous system settles, your breathing deepens. The mental fog that usually lingers until your second cup of coffee begins to dissolve on its own. Here is what the most centered, most intentional people on this planet do with that sacred first hour. They sit upright, they close their eyes. They do not reach for anything external. Instead, they reach inward. They notice their breath moving in and out without forcing it. They observe their thoughts without chasing a single one. And then they ask themselves questions that most people never pause long enough to consider. Questions like, what energy do I choose to embody today? If the finest version of me were stepping into this morning, what would that look like? This practice is rooted in what the ancient Stoics called prohairesis, your sovereign ability to choose your internal response regardless of what the external world demands of you. It is the ultimate expression of inner freedom. Now I know what you might be thinking. Sitting in silence sounds unproductive. It feels like falling behind when everyone else is already moving. But that is precisely the illusion that keeps most people trapped in a cycle of reaction rather than creation. The truth is, those quiet minutes are not empty. They are overflowing with potential. They are where clarity lives, where self-command is born, where the answers you have been searching for finally have room to surface. So tomorrow morning, try something different. Before your hand moves toward that phone, pause. Sit with yourself in the stillness. Let the silence wrap around you like armor. You will notice over days and weeks that you become steadier in conflict, sharper in conversation, and less rattled by the unpredictable turns life inevitably takes. Because when your morning belongs to you, the rest of the day follows your lead. Clarity has never once emerged from noise. It has always, without exception, risen from the quiet within. Number 3, rehearse the challenges before they arrive. No matter how carefully you design your morning, no matter how much intention you bring to those first waking hours, the world will test you. That is not a possibility. That is a certainty. Somewhere between breakfast and bedtime, something will go sideways. A colleague will say something careless that ignites your frustration. A project you poured your heart into will hit an unexpected wall. Traffic will steal 40 minutes you cannot get back. An email will land in your inbox carrying words that tighten your chest before you have even finished your first coffee. This is not bad luck. This is simply what life does. It disrupts, it surprises, it pushes against every boundary you thought you had secured. The question is not whether these moments will come. The question is whether you will be ready when they do. And this is where an ancient Stoic principle becomes one of the most transformative tools you will ever encounter. The Stoics practiced what they called premeditatio malorum, the deliberate mental rehearsal of difficulties before they unfold. Now, before you think this sounds gloomy or pessimistic, let me reframe it for you. This is not about expecting the worst. This is about training your emotional reflexes so that nothing catches you flat-footed. Marcus Aurelius understood this practice intimately. He wrote in his private journal, "Begin each day by telling yourself today, I shall be met with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness." He did not write those words because he was a bitter man. He wrote them because he was a prepared emperor. He knew that anticipating friction gave him the composure to lead millions without losing himself in the process. Imagine applying that same wisdom to your own life. After your moments of morning stillness, take just a few minutes to mentally walk through the day ahead. Not with anxiety, not with dread, but with the calm precision of someone who has lived long enough to know that surprises are inevitable. Ask yourself honest questions. What situation today might provoke impatience in me? Where could I feel tempted to react instead of respond? What conversation might push my buttons? And how do I want to carry myself through it? Then picture yourself navigating each of those moments with grace. See yourself breathing through the frustration instead of exploding. Visualize yourself pausing before you speak, choosing words rooted in strength rather than emotion. This is not fantasy. This is mental conditioning. It is the same principle that elite athletes use before competition. They do not step onto the field and hope for the best. They have already played the game 100 times in their mind. And because of that preparation, when the real pressure arrives, their body and their spirit know exactly what to do. Here is what makes this practice so extraordinary for someone at your stage of life. You have already weathered storms that would have broken most people. You have survived loss, disappointment, betrayal, and uncertainty. All of those experiences have given you a reservoir of resilience that younger people simply do not possess yet. This morning rehearsal is not about starting from scratch. It is about harnessing the strength you have already built and directing it with surgical precision before the day even unfolds. When you live this way, something remarkable happens. You walk into tense meetings without your pulse racing. You receive criticism without it shattering your sense of self. You encounter delays and disruptions, and you move through them with an almost effortless calm. People around you will wonder how you remain so composed. The answer is simple. You already faced this day in your mind hours ago. You are not reacting to life as it happens. You are responding from a place of deep, practiced readiness. That is not fake positivity. That is not pretending everything is fine. That is genuine preparedness, and it gives you an edge that most people will never understand. Number 4, ground your identity with one unshakable truth each morning. What if the single greatest threat to your day is not a difficult boss, a financial setback, or a painful conversation, but simply forgetting who you are? It sounds strange, but think about it carefully. You wake up, and in those first fragile moments, your sense of self is remarkably thin. You have not yet stepped into your strength. You have not yet reconnected with your values. You are, in a very real sense, a blank page waiting to be written on. And if you do not pick up the pen first, the world will gladly write your story for you. It will fill your mind with worry, comparison, doubt, and distraction before you have even brushed your teeth. Every extraordinary leader throughout history has understood this vulnerability. They knew that greatness is not something you achieve once and carry forever. It must be reclaimed every single morning. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who endured the brutal conditions of slavery before becoming one of the most respected teachers in Rome, built his entire philosophy around this principle. He taught his students, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." He did not say this casually. He repeated variations of this truth constantly because he understood that the human mind forgets its own power with alarming speed. Without a daily reminder, even the strongest person drifts into reactive living, letting circumstances dictate their emotions instead of their principles. This is why the practice of a morning anchor is so profoundly effective. It is not a motivational slogan you paste on your bathroom mirror and ignore after a week. It is a living declaration, a single truth so deeply rooted in your values that it becomes the compass for everything you do that day. Think of it as the North Star of your inner world. When confusion swirls around you, when pressure mounts, when someone challenges your patience or questions your worth, that one phrase pulls you back to center. Here is how this works in practice. You choose one Stoic truth that resonates with the person you are committed to becoming. Not 10 affirmations, not a paragraph of positive thinking, just one sentence that carries the weight of your deepest conviction. Perhaps it is something like, "I choose my response in every situation," or "Today I will move with purpose, not with fear," or "My peace belongs to me and I will not surrender it." The specific words matter less than the sincerity behind them. What matters is that you speak this truth out loud each morning, not as a whisper, but with the full force of your voice and your intention. Repeat it 5 times, 10 times. Let it settle into your chest until it stops being just words and starts becoming identity. You have lived long enough to know that life does not announce its hardest moments in advance. Pressure arrives without warning. Criticism lands when you least expect it. Disappointment shows up wearing a disguise. And in those moments, the person who has no anchor gets swept away by emotion. They react from fear, they speak from frustration, they make decisions they later regret. But the person who has spent every morning reinforcing their core truth responds from an entirely different place. They respond from alignment. They carry a steadiness that others can feel but cannot explain. Over weeks and months of this practice, something remarkable takes shape within you. That single phrase becomes woven into the fabric of who you are. It transforms from a morning ritual into mental armor that travels with you into every meeting, every confrontation, every quiet moment of doubt. And on the days when life shakes you hardest, when everything feels uncertain and the ground beneath you trembles, that one anchored truth will be the thing that holds you steady. Do not leave your identity to chance each morning. Claim it deliberately, speak it boldly, and let it guide every step you take. Number 5, take command of your inner world before the outer world floods in. Here is a question that deserves more honesty than most people are willing to give it. In the first hour after you open your eyes, who is shaping the landscape of your mind? Is it you sitting with intention, choosing what to think and how to feel? Or is it a cascade of strangers, algorithms, headlines, and digital noise, all rushing in to claim the most impressionable moments of your mental day? For the vast majority of people, the answer is painful. They hand over the keys to their inner world before they have even poured a glass of water. And then they spend the remaining hours wondering why they feel anxious, scattered, and emotionally drained. The Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus, often called the Socrates of Rome, taught that the quality of a person's life is determined entirely by the quality of their thinking. He believed that training the mind was not optional, but essential, as fundamental as eating or breathing. He insisted that daily self-examination was the practice that separated those who merely existed from those who truly lived. His message was clear: if you do not deliberately cultivate your thoughts each morning, the world will plant whatever it pleases in the soil of your mind, and most of what it plants will be weeds. This is precisely why Stoic journaling, even in its simplest form, becomes one of the most transformative habits you can adopt at this point in your life. It does not require an hour. It does not demand beautiful prose or perfect grammar. All it asks is 5 to 10 minutes of radical honesty between you and a blank page. Right after your moments of stillness and your morning anchor, you sit down and write. Not for publication, not for applause, purely for yourself. You ask questions that cut through the surface and reach the core of where you actually are. What am I carrying from yesterday that no longer serves me? What emotion might try to hijack my responses today? What am I genuinely grateful for in this moment? Which virtue do I want to embody in the hours ahead? Whether that is patience, courage, generosity, or self-control. These are not idle questions. They are acts of mental leadership. Each one forces you to pause to observe your own internal weather and to consciously decide what you will allow to remain and what you will release. Over time, this practice creates something profoundly valuable. It builds a private sanctuary of self-awareness, a space inside you where honesty lives and where emotional reactions are examined before they are expressed. You stop being the person who snaps in frustration and wonders why later. You become the person who notices the frustration rising, understands its source, and chooses a wiser path forward. After just a few days of consistent morning reflection, the changes become unmistakable. Your thinking sharpens. You catch yourself before old patterns take hold. Anxiety loses its grip because you have already faced it on the page before it can ambush you in real life. You begin choosing your emotional responses with the same deliberateness that you choose your words in an important conversation. This is not suppressing what you feel. This is understanding what you feel so deeply that your emotions become tools rather than tyrants. You have spent decades accumulating experiences, weathering losses, celebrating victories, and learning hard lessons that no textbook could ever teach. All of that wisdom lives inside you right now, but without a morning practice that brings it to the surface, it stays buried beneath the noise. So use those first quiet minutes to excavate your own depth, write your truth, confront your fears on paper where they shrink to their actual size. Remind yourself that you were never designed to be controlled by fleeting moods or passing impulses. You were built to govern your inner kingdom with the same strength and clarity that has carried you through every challenge life has already placed in your path. Number 6, awaken your mind by setting your body in motion. You already know this deep down, even if no one has said it to you in exactly these words. Your body and your mind are not two separate systems operating independently. They are intimate partners constantly influencing each other in ways most people never consciously recognize. When your body is stagnant, heavy, and idle, your thoughts follow that same trajectory. They become sluggish, foggy, and resistant to action. But when your body moves with purpose, even for a few brief minutes, something electric happens inside you. Your thinking clears, your emotional state elevates, your entire sense of what is possible for the day ahead expands dramatically. This is not theory. This is physiology working hand in hand with psychology. And the ancient Stoics understood it long before modern science confirmed it. Seneca, who was not only a philosopher, but also a man deeply committed to physical discipline, wrote about his own daily exercise routine in his letters. He described simple bodyweight movements and brisk walks, noting that even modest physical effort renewed his mental sharpness and restored his capacity for focused thinking. For Seneca, moving the body was never about vanity or appearance. It was about honoring the connection between physical vitality and intellectual clarity. He recognized that a neglected body inevitably produces a neglected mind. And this is where so many people, especially those who have carried heavy responsibilities for decades, unknowingly sabotage their own mornings. They wake up complete. Their mental rituals nurture their thoughts with silence and reflection, and then skip the one thing that would amplify everything else. They leave the body behind. They treat it as though it exists separately from the transformation they are seeking. But you cannot build an extraordinary inner life on a foundation of physical passivity. The body is not a footnote in your story of personal mastery. It is the vehicle through which every ounce of your discipline, your courage, and your intention travels into the world. Here is what makes morning movement so uniquely powerful. It is not really about fitness. It is about proving something to yourself before the day has even begun. When you drop to the floor for push-ups at 6 in the morning, you are not training your chest muscles. You are training your willpower. When you step into a cold shower and feel every nerve in your body resist, you are not toughening your skin. You are toughening your resolve. When you stretch muscles that ache and protest, you are sending an unmistakable signal to your subconscious mind. That signal says, I choose discomfort over weakness. I choose action over stagnation. I choose to lead myself before I attempt to lead anything else. This does not require a gym membership or an elaborate routine. 10 deliberate minutes are enough. Stretch your body until it loosens. Do jumping jacks until your heart rate rises. Walk outside in the morning air and feel the world waking up alongside you. Splash cold water across your face and let the shock remind you that you are alive, present, and capable of handling anything this day decides to bring. The specific exercise matters far less than the intention behind it. What matters is that you moved when comfort begged you to stay still. Over time, this practice reshapes something fundamental within you. You begin carrying yourself differently. Your posture shifts. Your energy becomes magnetic. You walk into rooms with a quiet authority that others can sense but cannot name. And the reason is beautifully simple. By the time most people are still debating whether to get out of bed, you have already conquered resistance, already chosen strength, already demonstrated to yourself that your will is stronger than your comfort. That victory earned before breakfast becomes the emotional fuel that powers every decision, every conversation, and every challenge you encounter for the rest of the day. Number 7. Mentally, sculpt the person you intend to become today. Of all the morning practices we have explored together, this final one carries a weight that goes beyond habit, beyond routine, and beyond mere productivity, because the ultimate secret of those rare individuals who walk through life with unshakable emotional strength is not found in what they do each morning. It is found in who they deliberately choose to become before the day touches them. Every sunrise presents you with the same invisible question. Will you step into the world as a product of whatever mood happens to greet you? Or will you consciously craft the version of yourself that you know deep in your bones you are capable of being? The Stoics had a phrase for this. They called it living according to nature, which did not mean retreating into the wilderness. It meant aligning every action, every word, and every response with your highest reasoning and your deepest values. The philosopher Chrysippus, who led the Stoic school for decades and shaped its teachings more than almost anyone else, believed that a person's greatest work was not external achievement, but internal alignment. He taught that when you live in harmony with your own rational nature, you become unstoppable, not because nothing can hurt you, but because nothing can pull you away from who you truly are. This is the practice of mental rehearsal, and it is far more powerful than most people realize. Before you leave your home, before you open your door to the noise and demands of the outside world, you close your eyes and step into your own future. You see yourself walking into your workplace with a presence that radiates calm authority. You picture a moment of conflict and watch yourself respond with composure instead of combustion. You imagine a conversation where someone tests your patience and you visualize yourself choosing measured words over impulsive reactions. You see yourself listening deeply when your instinct would normally be to interrupt. You watch yourself moving through the entire day as the person you most admire becoming. This is not fantasy. This is neurological training. Your brain does not fully distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you rehearse composure, your neural pathways strengthen in the direction of composure. When you rehearse confidence, your body begins to carry itself with the posture and rhythm of a confident person. You are not pretending. You are preparing at the deepest level of your psychology. Most people never do this. They tumble into their day and absorb whatever energy surrounds them. If the office is tense, they become tense. If a family member is irritable, they mirror that irritability without even noticing. They are emotional sponges, soaking up the atmosphere and wondering later why they feel so drained and disconnected from themselves. But you have a choice. You can be the person who absorbs the room, or you can be the person who sets the tone for it. The Stoics chose the latter every single morning without exception. Consider how transformative this becomes over months and years of practice. Your identity stops being something that shifts with circumstance. It becomes carved from something solid and enduring. You become the person your family trusts in a crisis. You become the colleague who brings clarity when everyone else brings confusion. You become someone who speaks truth without cruelty, who leads without arrogance, who faces fear without retreating. None of this happens by accident. It happens because every morning, before the world had a chance to shape you, you shaped yourself first. The way you begin each day is not a small detail in the story of your life. It is the opening chapter that determines how every other page reads. Those who surrender this sacred time to distraction and drift will spend their years chasing a version of themselves they never quite reach. But those who claim it with fierce intentionality will build something that no external force can dismantle: a life of purpose, presence, and unbreakable inner strength. So let us bring it all together. 7 morning secrets that separate the 1% from everyone else. First, rise through discipline, not fleeting motivation. Second, claim your power in the quiet before the noise. Third, rehearse the challenges before they arrive. Fourth, ground your identity with one unshakable truth. Fifth, take command of your inner world before the outer world floods in. Sixth, awaken your mind by setting your body in motion. Seventh, mentally sculpt the person you intend to become today. These are not clever tricks or passing trends. These are ancient tools of transformation that have shaped warriors, emperors, and philosophers for centuries. You do not need to master all 7 tomorrow. Start with one, just one. But start today, because even a single shift in how you greet the morning can redirect the entire course of your life. You do not need perfection. You simply need to be fully awake, present to your values, aligned with your purpose, and committed to your own evolution. Let today mark the final morning you wake up like the majority, and the first morning you rise like the extraordinary few. If this message moved something inside you, hit that like button, drop your favorite truth in the comments, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe so you never miss what is coming next. Write this affirmation below and carry it with you. I wake up like the 1%. I lead my life with Stoic power.